I guess I was trying to understand a little bit more about how there's a substantial change in that it looks like the applicant's looking for apartments to be covered. And from my understanding, apartments are multifamily housing. And the change in our code happened around middle housing. So could you explain that a little bit more to me?
Councilwoman, are there any references to that concept being adjudicated in the hearing? Mr. Bond is not recalling that.
Oh, okay. Well, specifically, the planning department found that there was a substantial change in that it was met because this can now cover middle housing, but the application was for apartment buildings, which is multifamily housing, and there wasn't any change to the multifamily housing. So I'm trying to understand how the substantial change relates to this application.
You know, I didn't attend this hearing, and so this was handled by my staff. So I'll full disclosure there. My understanding is that the CC zone does not allow for apartment buildings as a standalone use. And the other fact in this case is that this is in our self-storage overlay district. So the intent of this property, this whole area of the city is where we've identified for self-storage uses to go. And I can share that, well, stop me if I'm able to talk about a possible project resulting from this, but there is a proposed self-storage use at this site with co-located apartment buildings. So they want to do a sort of horizontally mixed use project, but it isn't stacked in the way that the mixed use shopfront building allows. And so they are still meeting the intent of the code with self-storage. It's that the apartment use, which would normally be on top of commercial, is next to it. And that's what they're seeking. But in terms of a substantial change, I just defer to what's in the hearing examiner's findings and what's in the record in the testimony provided.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Morrissey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director Bond, I think I'm adding to her question. There was some essentially the hearing examiner had alluded to the fact that there are upcoming changes due to, I believe, state legislation that has changed. And correct me if I'm wrong, Councilmember Denman, that maybe that's where your question's coming from. Nope. Okay.
The substantial change, according to the application, would have been that allowed the application for the rezone was due to the change that happened around middle housing. Our ordinances that changed in middle housing, which went into effect July 2025. However, from what I was looking at and even reading what the hearing examiner said, all of this relates to apartment building, allowing an apartment building or apartments, and apartments are multifamily housing. Therefore, I don't see any nexus to the substantial change that happened in our ordinance.
Yeah, I'm kind of going the same way because I think that my question was going to be along the lines of the legislation that came through this year, which wouldn't have been necessarily implemented, but I believe there's going to be some changes coming through from the state that says we're not going to be able to stop multifamily housing in commercial areas. I guess I thought that's where your line of questioning was going, but maybe I was.
That currently under our current, the application.
Zoning. Yep.
Application, what the hearing examiner specifically looked at, which made this project eligible, I don't see the nexus.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So you're saying there shouldn't be a need for this. Yep. Yeah.
I don't see how it meets the requirements.
Okay.
I got it.
That's a good question, and they're better off answering it than me. But.
Mr. Bond, how do we know how many apartments are going to be there in this zone, this area with the retails underneath it?
I don't have a copy of the site plan because that's not part of the application that's before you. The commercial mixed use zone does not have a cap on the number of units. It's restricted by building height, site coverage, parking, but the applicant may be able to shed some light on that, but I don't know that that's necessarily something that we should be discussing in the closed record hearing because it's not directly related to the rezone application.
It did state it in the rezone application. It was approximately 63 units.
Okay, thanks.
Further questions at this point? Okay, because
Yes,
this is a
My-
quasi,
oh, I was going to say, I might have one more question for Ms. Archer. Help me make sure I'm understanding this as we go into our closed door, that Ms. Archer, we are taking this as a zoning only proposal, not any potential project that may come out of that, because there's no potential project as it stands right now.
Correct. Yes. Thank you. That gets to the question the councilwoman just asked, which is, we can't consider the potential proposed uses, but we can look at what could be done under the future zoning as a evaluation criteria. Yeah. And we did find the reference from the planner to the comment about middle housing. And we're looking at that right now. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
all right, because this is a quasi judicial proceeding pursuant to RCW 142, the city council will enter a closed session for these deliberations. We will return in 15 minutes unless the council extends the deliberation period. Any extension will be publicly announced. The council may take action following the deliberation period. So now we will enter deliberation in a closed session.
Mr. Mayor, I would request that we add an executive session to this as well.
Okay.
The topic would be 423110 subpart 1 subpart I to discuss legal risk of a proposed action.
Okay.
Together
that
with
same
this item.
15-minute time
Yeah,
frame.
absolutely.
Sorry, Mayor.
Right. Council has completed its deliberation on this closed matter. Are there any motions on this matter, council?
I believe there's a template motion in the packet.
Mr. Mayor. I've got to reload.
That's where I'm at.
Everybody's firing their computers back up. Let me know when you're ready.
You have it?
There is no motion.
Yes,
Is
there is.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I don't think.
go ahead. Not in Granicus.
Mayor, I move to affirm the recommendation of the hearing examiner to approve the site-specific rezone and direct staff to prepare an ordinance consistent with this direction.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further deliberation or I need to close the hearing though too, don't I? Okay, I'm gonna close the hearing. A motion and a second. Any comments or questions, statements? Okay. All in favor of affirming the hearing examiner's recommendation, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
I'll
opposed?
abstain for now.
In
You-
a point of
No,
order,
there's only one
Yep.
going.
point of order, according to our norms, you cannot abstain. You must either vote
Yeah, I
nay
hear you.
or yea or nay.
Yep.
Then I will vote nay.
Okay, so that passes 6-1. All right, and that was the action item, correct, Ms. Archer? So now we're on to our citizen comments.
Like
Um,
lawsuits.
All right, we are to the citizen comment period. And anyone wishing to address the council, please step to the microphone and you have 3 minutes to address the council.
Randy.
Good evening. My name is Ian Bear, and I'm here on behalf of Western Washington Center for the Arts, currently located at 624-626 Bay Street. I'm coming in to add on to what was said at the last council meeting regarding the DCD issues. We are a 501c3 nonprofit community theater that has been in Port Orchard for 25 years. If you look out that window, you can see the pile of rubble that used to be our building that was under the Port of Bremerton. If you turn and you look out that side, you can see the building we are currently in. In that building, when we moved in, we had a 25-person occupancy limit. I've spoken with Councilmember Fenton and I've sent an email to Councilmember Warden regarding this. We were operating under an assumption that had been given to us by the DCD at the time that we moved in, that for fundraising events, we'd be able to continue to do those in that building, in that situation. We received a stop work order on the 626 portion, which is a storage unit that does not normally have anyone in it. It is just containing 25 years of theater goods. We contacted the city saying, we understand we have a stop work order. We don't want to make enemies with the city. We want to play by the rules. What do we need to do to get this fixed? What happened was that Ms. Garcia came in and immediately shut us down due to some confusion over a Class B versus a Class A1 occupancy permit. After we were shut down, we were told, well, go ahead and contact us if you have any questions on how to gain a Class A occupancy. So we did. We were told, I won't talk to you. We need to have an architect drawing. So we proceeded as a nonprofit that is now not making money. We are not able to do shows. We do not have income coming in. We are still paying all of our bills. We proceeded to pay almost $6,000 to get an architect to lay things out. That took 3.5 months to get any confirmation from the DCD. Every single day of the first 6 weeks was given. Every time we would call, it would be 3 to 5 days before I'd hear anything back. I would either get a very terse email informing me, contact your architect, or I would get an email saying, I don't know, we'll get back to you on that, which would then restart the clock. Finally, we got our approval done. What they want for a 50-person occupancy is 4 bathrooms, men's, women's, ADA, and employee for a 50-person occupancy. They want $100,000 of renovations there. After 25 years, we will not be able to be a theater in Port Orchard, which we have prided ourselves on. We are the only community theater in Port Orchard. We no longer have the option to be here because the city does not want us here. They've made that abundantly clear. As my time runs out, I would like to draw your attention to the third guiding principle of your own agenda. Are we building positive connections with our community and partners? I think it's very obvious, both from the last meeting and this one, that that is not happening. I walk down Bay Street. There are multiple empty storefronts. There are multiple owners who are telling me, wow, I regret having a business here. I will get out of Port Orchard as quickly as I can. And I know you all have heard this before. I'm not blaming one person. It is not one person's fault. It is a systematic issue with the DCD. There is no way to say that 501c3 needs a bathroom for every 12 people and that we need to be held to the same standards as dance clubs and 16 screen multiplexes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the council?
My name is Steve Seago. I'm a resident of South Kitsap and a property owner and building owner here. In fact, I'm the landlord for the previous speaker, who we just keep alive there with a minimal amount of cost to keep them going, hopefully with a plan to someday succeed. So I don't know if anybody's going to share any good news or positive messages tonight, but I'm going to. I just want to start by saying I've worked in this community for almost 15 years. Had a lot of challenges, a lot of disappointments, a lot of progress. But I want to point out the DCD department and my relationship with Nick Bond and Jim Fisk and Stephanie and Jackie when she was with the water department. A lot of challenges, a lot of dead ends, but in the end, every step of the way, every process included a collaborative discussion. And I remember last year with Jim, a call, and these are uncompensated roles I've taken to help support some of our folks in the community, and they were panicked, this applicant, and they were going to be turned away. They thought they had a day to fix it, or they were gone. Their vesting was going to be gone. And I called Jim, and he returned the call. And I told him what the problem was, and he said, "Yeah, they got a problem, but they're doing the wrong thing. If they did this, they wouldn't have a problem." And I called him and told him, and the next day they were fine. So the point is, there's a collaborative discussion that took place constructively, right? And it wasn't just to say, you're wrong, or we're not going to tell you what the solution is. We'll help you. And that's changed. That's just the fact. It's the culture that's changed. And Mayor Patonso, you know how I feel about it feels like something's descended on us that wasn't here before. And I told you the story last time about the application that's now been successfully permitted for the apartment above the Polaris Theater. And that was just a few weeks ago. But we had a meeting, and Mayor Patonso was on that call, and Angela Garcia and her staff and my team and Joshua. At the end of the day, we were told, and very politely but inaccurately, that there was a form that we hadn't submitted. And this has gone back for 6 months. A mechanical permit should take 6 weeks, 6 months. And we were told that the form that was submitted by BJC, our consultant and contractor, was wrong. They were not using the right Washington State University approved form for HVAC, for power, or for our HVAC system. So we went back to the drawing board, and BJC came back, called Washington State University at the direction of the city, and Washington State University staff who managed this said, that's the wrong form. In fact, that's obsolete. And that form is actually for a new, not existing building. So that's how this went. And it was, bring us another walk. And we were told over and over again, no, they're wrong. Angela's team's wrong about mechanical drawings that need to be submitted. And the cycle just went on and on. So we have a permit now. Do I feel good about that? Yeah, I'm thankful that we're going to have a place for our kids and grandkids to live. But I think what happened isn't necessary. There's a way to work together. And I think the city council, you're responsible too for that. It's not just listening to people like me, Amaron. It's to engage, to give direction to the mayor, to agree together.
See, your time's up.
My time's up?
Yep.
Okay. Should I change my name and come back? No. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Clancy Donlin. I'm a former city council member. After this February 24th council meeting, both Mayor Patonso and DCD Director Nick Bond acknowledged there were issues with the department. However, the comments focused on problems with the city's software without addressing the core problem, which is the behavior of the field employees and the overall culture. While the software is problematic, it's clear that the root cause of most complaints stems from the aggressive and punitive actions of DCD field staff. The staff working at the permit center are known for their normal, helpful attitudes, and they have privately expressed frustrations with the department's culture. Software may be difficult to navigate and confusing, but it does not possess an attitude. The real challenges originate from two field personnel who have been reported to insult, bully, and humiliate individuals who are simply trying to build homes and start businesses. These employees appear to relish placing impossible hurdles in front of applicants, issuing contradictory demands, and transforming initial optimism into feelings of hopelessness. The field personnel responsible are Angela Garcia and Aubrey Wilson. These two individuals have recklessly created an atmosphere of fear regarding the permitting process. Consider the imaginary experience of a couple planning to build a new home in Port Orchard. The excitement grows as they approach the permitting process, and after jumping through many hoops, their optimism remains high. However, once DCD becomes involved, the situation quickly deteriorates. And initially, they are asked to make a few fixes, which they accommodate. Then unexpected demands arise, followed by a series of contradictory and expensive requirements. If the couple does not respond promptly, DCD imposes a stop work order, which you've heard before many times, escalating the punishment. The resulting despair and financial strain are overwhelming, and it is unlikely the couple blames software for their problem. Mayor Patonsu has stated that he is somewhat aware of certain issues, but unaware of the severity of scope and the problems caused by DCD. What has prevented the mayor from being fully aware and fully informed about these issues? Is it possible his involvement in multiple committees, boards, and groups has diverted his attention? Perhaps it is time for the mayor to reduce his external commitments and focus more closely on his day job with the city. Director Nick Bond, as the leader of DCD, is ultimately responsible for its culture and behavior. Although it's well known Nick possesses strong skills in land use and other technical issues, interpersonal skills and fostering a positive departmental culture are not his strengths. The department needs to add a new leader who brings both background in construction and a commitment to customer service. This individual should develop a plan to transform DCD into a department known for exceptional customer service and correct its current anti-citizen, anti-business, anti-growth attitudes.
Mr. Donnelly.
Instead, it should embrace a culture centered on helping to inform and partnering with those who seek to build and start
Time is up.
businesses or remodel. A model for this approach is Costco, which prioritizes its member in every
Mr.
decision.
Donlin, please take a seat.
Focusing on the needs of the people it serves. The goal should be to dazzle us with praise, and that is leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please keep your remarks to the allotted time.
I will do my best.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Sue Ann Martin Smith, and I've had 3 businesses here in the city of Port Orchard since 2012. I've lived here for 26 years, and I've been a volunteer in Port Orchard throughout my time here, including being a planning commissioner for the city of Port Orchard. My small businesses, Homemade Cafe, Holy Water, Heavenly Lounge, and Dottie's Place, an Airbnb, have helped to bring thousands of guests and dollars to our community for many years now. COVID was very hard as a small business owner to survive. Those of us who did survive came out stronger with renewed vigor to make a comeback within our community and to help life feel normal again. In doing so, I had to get permits in the 2022 year for a small overhaul of Homemade to become Holy Water. I'm a rule follower, and I have all my paperwork saved from when we opened Homemade in 2010. I have worked with the health department and the liquor board without any problems whatsoever. Both organizations are very clear about what they need and expect from us as business owners, so we can move forward and open our doors. Working with the DCD, however, became challenging because I was adding an eco-friendly dishwasher to my already complete commercial kitchen. The dishwasher was professionally installed in our already existing commercial kitchen. I reported this change to the DCC, and Doug Price, was the inspector, said I had to have a commercial hood fan above this dishwasher, which was really shocking, as you can imagine. I contacted Ecolab Company, which was founded in 1923. They changed their name in 1988. In all their years of being open, they'd never heard of such a thing. This is the only piece of equipment that we rent in our kitchen. The rest we own. Doug Price said I couldn't open without it. Apparently, the rule was signed into code during COVID, and it was meant for new construction of housing, so the black mold issue would not happen in laundry rooms. To have proper ventilation, which makes complete sense. To open my bar, I had to spend $5,500 on a hood fan for no reason. I have since asked the city who else had to do that, and they said no one. And they literally said to me that people just don't tell them when they make changes. And I felt that I was being punished because I was being truthful. So when we had him do the inspection, he said, "This is it." We said, "Yes." He'd let me know he'd lost my paperwork. He also let me know he'd never seen one before. And he went, "Oh, that's what it looks like." I was livid. I was super angry because I felt I knew more about this than he did. I had to hire a professional HVAC person to come in. It took another 5 to 6 weeks, and I lost about $45,000 in business. That's a lot. I've already established that I'm good at what I do. We survived it, we moved on, and we've worked really hard, and we flourished in this community. I love Port Orchard. I believe in this town, but I also believe that people who want to support our community need to be from here or live in our county, maybe have some investment in it. John Robinson, the old inspector, phenomenal speed dial. He'd answer questions.
So
We don't
can you
get that
wrap up?
anymore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else to address the council?
Good afternoon, good evening. Robert Baglio, BJC Group. We're a general contractor and developer in the area. And, last night I was rolling around 3 o'clock in the morning and thinking about this. And to be honest with you, it's not very pleasant for me, but I felt that it's time to go ahead and speak and hear my voice or let my voice be heard. So I'm here also to talk about working with the city of Port Orchard, the difficulties and the problems. And this is specifically around the building department. I know 4 weeks ago, there was a group of people that came and testified in front of the city council expressing the same frustration dealing with the city of Port Orchard. Once again, specifically seemed to be centered around the building department. I listened to the tape. I found their stories incredibly compelling. The one thing I found striking was the similarity of the stories. The never-ending request for additional information, the lack of consistency, the time wasted jumping through bureaucratic hoops, the lack of trust, the amount of time it takes to get answers, and the one common denominator, once again, is the building department. So I'm constructing the Bay Street Apartments downtown. It's a great project, obviously, but it's a fairly good size, 68,000 square foot project. You can take the problems expressed at the council meeting 4 weeks ago and multiply them by about 20, and that's what I'm experiencing on the Bay Street project. One consistent theme is the amount of time that is wasted dealing with ridiculous and frivolous requests. Those delays cost money, real money. The time and effort we spend jumping through hoops and performing gymnastics is absurd. Not to mention the additional consultant fees that must be paid to respond to what seems to be the never-ending city's request. Many of these requests are things that I've never experienced in my 30 years plus in the business. On this project, these delays and additional consulting fees have amounted to nearly $250,000, and that is not an exaggeration. With all the stories and experience that the public has expressed to the city council, it's blatantly obvious due to the sheer volume and consistency of the concerns and frustrations that the problem is not the citizens who are simply trying to get a building permit. The common denominator, once again, is the building department. Unfortunately, people are starting to question and no longer want to do business in Port Orchard. I've heard this firsthand from many developers. I myself have reservations as far as future projects in the city of Port Orchard. This is a very serious situation. The frustration level is high. Steps need to be taken right away. Listen to the citizens that elected you and solve the problem. The problem is not them. It is staff. It appears to be a culture of no. Something needs to be done and needs to be done soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? Anyone else wishing to address the council? Going to close the first citizen comment.
Online,
Oh,
Mayor.
Online? Is there someone online, Brandon?
Yeah, there's somebody online.
You wish to, if you're online, wish to testify, please use the raise your hand feature and the clerk will bring you into the meeting.
Hello?
Please go ahead and please identify yourself for the record.
Sure. My name is Ray Klein. I was one of 17 to speak a month ago at City Council. No personal animosity toward you, Mr. Mayor, but we take to this forum since you seem to deny that a problem exists. And in your recent posts online, you indicate a lack of understanding or simply a denial of the problem we're trying to highlight, as was highlighted by many before me just now. The problem will not be solved by sensitivity training or by hiring more staff. The problem is that the staff are trained to do exactly what is not needed, create more fake work in the Department of Community Development, the DCD. That's incredibly short-sighted. It's so much better to encourage business and grow the tax base. Currently, there is a culture implemented in DCD to harm small business. I don't know if this is deliberate or not, or who does benefit, but the impact on the city is negative and dire. The stories outlined here at council seem too bizarre to be true. If they were fictional, it would be funny. But it's real. It's not funny. People suffer. For years, this malfeasance has been festering among our business community. Most are too afraid to speak out for fear of retribution. We found our voice, the best disinfectant in the sunlight, so we tell these incredible stories. Even now, for every one of us speaking, there are many more who have given up, too broken, or afraid to speak. This is easy to fix, and we're willing to do our part to help. Surely you can't truly believe that what's currently taking place is appropriate. Right now, you're failing. I would much rather you succeed, as that's what's best for Port Orchard. It's time to try something new. The solution is common sense. What we need is a positive attitude toward businesses, not more detailed process. Fewer wasted steps, not more staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments? Anyone else online or in the audience wishing to testify before the council or provide comment, I guess? Any other raised hands, Brandy? Okay, I will close the first citizen comment period. We have a published consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Diener, a second by Councilmember Morrissey to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. We have two presentations this evening, the first of which is from our contract lobbyist, Shelley Helder, who's in the audience, and she's going to give us a post-legislative session update. Thank you for joining us tonight, Shelley.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Helder, and I have the privilege of serving the city as your contract lobbyist. This evening, I have four sections to my presentation. I will provide an overview of the 2026 state legislative session. I'll review outcomes from the city's legislative priorities. I'll provide a brief overview of some additional legislative outcomes, and then we will wrap up by talking about next steps and where do we go from here now that session is over. Do I click or do you? Do I just say next slide? Okay, so I'll just tell you when I go next. Okay, next slide. So the 2026 legislative session was 60 days. It was a short session, the second year of the biennium. Similar to the first year of the biennium, Democrats held strong majorities in both chambers, and they set the priorities for the session. Some of the major themes that we saw throughout the session were responding to federal actions, affordability, and reforming the state's tax code. The primary objective of a short session is to adopt supplemental budgets, which are intended to make small but time-sensitive changes to the state's biennial budgets. And then in addition to the budgets, the legislature also considers thousands of bills. There were 1,238 bills introduced in 60 days and 268 passed into law. Next slide. The legislature adopted 3 supplemental budgets, which is a success. That's not something that always happens. It's not a guarantee that they do adopt supplemental budgets, but they did. The most challenging of the 3 budgets was the operating.
Ellie, I think we're a slide behind.
We are.
We are, yes. That went back. Can you go forward one more? There we go.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. The supplemental operating budget was the most challenging, and that's due to rising maintenance level costs, mostly driven by increased caseloads and new obligations from recent state programs that have expanded their scope. The supplemental operating budget increased spending by $2.4 billion, bringing the total 2-year budget to $80.2 billion. Roughly $880 million of that amount is from the state's budget stabilization account, commonly referred to as the rainy day fund, which is essentially the state's savings account. The largest expenditure in the supplemental budget is roughly $1 billion to cover the state's self-insurance loans. The other 2 budgets, the transportation and the capital budget, are traditionally developed in a bipartisan fashion, and this year was no exception. The supplemental transportation budget adds $1.2 billion to the spending authority, which brings the total 2-year budget to $16.6 billion. The singular focus for the supplemental transportation budget was maintenance and preservation of the state's highway system, which does include the ferry system. And then finally, the supplemental capital budget authorized an additional $889 million in spending, which brought the total budget to $8.5 billion. So as you can see on the slide, the budgets get smaller as we go. Next slide. So before jumping into some specifics about the city's priorities, I wanted to provide a perspective on the outcomes for cities across the state. And I would say the key takeaway for cities across the state is that generally there's room for improvement. There were more unfunded mandates that passed this session, though there are far fewer than there have been in recent years. There were no additional resources distributed to cities or relief from the demands placed on city budget, but there was some additional flexibility for existing fiscal tools. And then in spite of the state having a challenging budget year, they did retain most, though not all, of the state shared revenues. There was a reduction of $5 million from the cannabis revenue sharing that was distributed to cities. The legislation that authorizes the millionaire's tax includes an elimination of sales tax on select products. And so if that does end up taking effect, that will result in a decline in local sales tax collection. The legislation acknowledged this and included in the intent section that there will be intent to offset some of those impacts on local governments. That's reflected in the operating budget, which has $200 million allocated in the 4-year outlook. And that's because, again, there's a delayed effective date for the millionaire's tax. And there's kind of broad both by voters and by the courts. So in short, it wasn't a terrible session for cities, but again, there is still room for improvement. Next slide. So the city identified 3 priorities for the short session and 1 priority to put on the horizon for the upcoming biennium. So the first priority was a $1 million capital budget request for the Old Clifton Road Water Intertie project. And that request was fully funded in the supplemental capital budget. This success was possible because our delegation, the 26th district legislators, all prioritized this request. Them prioritizing and advocating for it, we don't get that kind of result in a short session without their support. It also helps that this was an infrastructure project that will ultimately reduce the amount that the city has to borrow for the project and limit the impact to ratepayers, which touched on one of the priorities for the session, which was affordability. And so I mentioned this just to note that in considering what priorities, not only is it incredibly helpful to have your legislators supportive of it, but also to have something that aligns with the priorities that would be adopted by the parties in control. And then just to provide some context for other types of awards that were distributed in the district, there was $200,000 for the Bremerton Food Line, $50,000 for Key Peninsula Community Services Food Pantry, and $500,000 for upgrades at the South Kitsap Regional Park. The city's second priority was an $8 million request for new roundabouts at the intersection of SR 16 and Sedgwick. And this was a priority. We did not expect there to be funding allocated to a project of this size in a supplemental year, but we wanted to keep it top of mind for budget writers, and we wanted to kind of keep our place in the queue. And to our surprise, the Senate transportation budget included the full $8 million for this project. And this is in no doubt because Senator Krishnadasan was promoted to be one of the transportation budget writers in the Senate. And so she had much more influence over development of that budget than previous members from the 26th district. The House budget was really adamant on funding no new projects, prioritizing investment only in maintenance and preservation of existing systems. And so through the reconciliation process, there was no funding for new projects, but simply being included in the Senate proposal really elevates this. And the fact that Senator Krishnadasan is expected to continue to be a transportation budget writer moving forward means that we have really good opportunity moving into the new biennium. To take advantage of this opportunity, one of the things that I think we need to be really diligent with is reaching out to WashDOT over the interim and making sure that we're on the same page with them about the importance of this project and what the benefits would be to the state and the region. The third priority was to maintain funding for the derelict vessel removal account and to streamline the process for removing derelict vessels. Representative Richards was the champion for this, not just for the city of Port Orchard, but for the region. He introduced House Bill 2199, and this bill's now been signed into law. It takes effect June 11th. It modifies the definition of a derelict vessel, and that expedites the process for removal. Something as simple as a definition makes a big difference. It makes a couple other changes as well, but that's the simplified version. And then additionally, the governor's proposed budget and the Senate's proposed budget, as a way to help balance the state's general fund, they proposed sweeping funds from the derelict vessel removal account. Ultimately, the final operating budget does not do that. It keeps the account whole, so the money is there to address derelict vessels. Next slide. So in addition to the city's top priorities, there are other important topics that you've identified in your legislative document, and several of them came up this session. Infrastructure funding is an ongoing challenge for the state as well as local governments, and the Public Works Assistance Account is one of those vital tools. However, the account is really attractive as a source to borrow from the state when they are short on cash. The supplemental operating budget takes $375 million from the Public Works Assistance Account to balance the state's general fund. They backfill that account with $279 million in bond funding, and ultimately it ends up being that there is actually additional capacity for projects funded through the Public Works Assistance Account, but it's with bond authority as opposed to with cash. So there's projects are still going to be able to go out the door. Public Works Board will still be able to solicit projects. It's just funded in a different way. The next thing I want to mention is the city's support for Senate Bill 6262, which would have expanded what vehicles are subject to transportation benefit district fees. It would have had the effect of generating roughly $90,000 for the city to use on maintenance and preservation. And it would have affected vehicles that are heavier in weight, vehicles that traditionally have more wear and tear on city streets. The bill passed the Senate with bipartisan support, and it ended up dying in the House. I do expect the bill to return next year, so it's just something for us to have on our radar. The legislature continued their focus on the regulation and siting of STEP housing types, which are shelters, transitional housing, emergency housing, and permanent supportive housing. In 2021, the legislature adopted House Bill 1220, which required cities to allow these housing types in any areas where hotels are permitted. However, local regulations that have been adopted throughout the state have varied widely, and in some cases, the occupancy, spacing, and health and safety regulations have been narrowed so much that it's essentially prevented these housing types from being cited in communities. So to address this concern, the legislature passed House Bill 2266. The bill requires cities to allow permanent supportive housing and transitional housing in all residential zones, and emergency housing in all zones where hotels are allowed. It also narrows the types of spacing, occupancy, and health and safety regulations that a city can impose. One thing that I'll note for the final version of the bill, it does allow cities to require a form-based code, and that was something that was incorporated into the bill as a result of feedback from the city of Port Orchard. It was heavily amended through the process. They took into account a lot of feedback from cities to try to make the bill workable, implementable, enforceable. Though it is a mandate, it does have a lot of city fingerprints all over it. I say city family, not just city of Port Orchard. On the flip side, there's House Bill 2489, and this would have limited the city's authority to regulate or remove individuals that are occupying public parks or public rights of way. This bill had really strong opposition from cities, and it died in its chamber of origin. So that's at a point where the city's concern was heard. Next slide. So now that the session is over, I know some people think, well, now what do you do? Actually, there's a lot of work to do between now and when the next legislative session begins, but I'm not even going to think about that yet. First and foremost, the thing that I would encourage the city to do is to express gratitude to your delegation. The 26th district legislators, and for that matter, every legislator, put in countless hours debating and adopting laws and budgets to help our state run. And no matter what side of the party political aisle you're on, they put in the time. And so for that reason alone, I think expressing gratitude is warranted. But as you all know, in an elected office, gratitude goes really far, especially when you do something that, constituents have asked you to prioritize and you're able to deliver on it. There's no shortage of gratitude that can be delivered, especially when it's sincere. So if that's a groundbreaking, something as formal as that, or something just as informal as thanking them when you see them in the community, you're at an event, I can't communicate how important that is. The next step is to implement. Of course, the city is already working on implementing the projects, or the money that was received in the first year of the biennium. Work is already underway on that, which is excellent. I know city staff is going to continue to do that with the funding that was awarded for the Intertie project. There are also, as I mentioned, 268 bills that passed. Not all of them impact city government, but a lot of them do. And so there's a lot of work for cities to comply with the laws that the state just passed. And so I mentioned that to you all because city staff is going to have a lot of work on their plate coming up as the effective dates for these bills hit the calendar. And then as we look to the next legislative session, one of the best things that you can do as a city is start to identify what are some of your biggest struggles and what can the state do to help address those struggles. And then educate legislators on those topics. We already know Orchard Street Plaza is a project that's on the horizon. That's something we've identified as needing the state's support to help get across the finish line. So that's something that we can start to work on now. And then I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'll just mention the legislative session for 2027 starts January 11th. You all know we like to have the priorities adopted far before then, so we can do our homework in advance of session. Before I close, I do just want to mention that I am part of a team. I know I get to interact with you all and you mostly see me because I am your primary point of contact, but I do have a colleague, Holly Sanabria, who provides just exceptional support for me. And so I wanted to mention her and just note that I will be taking vacation at some point this year, and you will always have a backup at GTH if I'm not available.
Thank you, Shelley. Questions for Shelley?
Thank you.
Councilmember Diener?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a question that other people are thinking about. What are the unfunded mandates that the city is facing?
Yeah, well, one of them I mentioned, House Bill 2266. There is quite a bit of implementation that's required, and there's not funding for the city to update city codes. So I use the term unfunded mandates somewhat loosely. It's work the city has to do, and funding is not accompanied with it. One of the other bills that passed this session that actually doesn't apply to Port Orchard because of your population threshold, Senate Bill 6026, and it's a similar land use mandate that requires cities to update their ordinances.
Thank you, Shelley. It was very informative.
Councilmember Warden?
Yeah, thank you for coming tonight. What sales tax items are no longer sales taxed?
Diapers, hygiene products, and over-the-counter medicines will all be exempt from sales tax if the legislation that includes the millionaire's tax is upheld.
Not yet, but if it's upheld. Councilmember Dedman?
You mentioned something about a form-based code. Can you explain that a little bit more to me?
Yeah, so form-based code is a type of code that is an option for cities. It kind of creates a standard for builders or developers to know, hey, this is the expectation across an entire city. Cities have the option of whether to adopt a form-based code or not. And so as the STEP housing bill was originally drafted, it would have essentially provided an exemption from form-based codes for permanent supportive housing, emergency shelters, if a city chooses to have a form-based code.
Thank you.
Mr. Morrissey?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation tonight, Shelley. It's very well received. Thank you for your time spent down in Olympia on our behalf. I know the group of us went down there for one night. I know I spent many days during session, the short 60-day session, and I believe every one of them I ran into Shelley down there working on our behalf. So thank you. Additionally, thank you personally for the opportunity to testify on 2199 for Rep. Richards. I think you did a great job getting that across the finish line, and your support helps. I just want to thank you for your work against unfunded mandates for the city. As you know, that's our biggest risk here. I believe that what we do as a city should come first, despite what the state says. So I want to appreciate that on your work there. I also want to call out to I guess she was going by Rep. Valdez this year versus Caldeer, who I think kind of led the charge for $1 million on her water intertie project. I know we had some conversations about that personally to thank her for that. But anything you can do as you continue to work on our behalf for the city of Port Orchard, the people need to know, it's not just the revenue that you bring to the projects that we're going to do, it's the things that you find as well, right? I see in the audience tonight, one of our county commissioners. I think he would join us in saying that the state just needs to work on staying out of unfunded mandates. And for those of you who don't know what I'm saying there, that's about putting policy on a city or a county that requires money that they didn't provide on our behalf. It really handcuffs us on our ability to do what we need to do for our community. So thank you for that. Keep fighting for that as you go in to next year. I am most interested in your thoughts. I know you don't want to talk about next year yet, but to get to my question after all that is, what do you think that's going to come back from this year, next year that didn't pass that we should be keenly aware of?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Man, I try to block all dead bills out of my head. So I think I'm like, oh, it never comes back. One that I think will come back is what was referred to as the mobile dwelling bill, House Bill 1443. And it's trying to get at this issue of creating additional housing units in a short timeline, recognizing that there's a small amount of land within buildable areas. And so I think there is a path forward there, but the way that the bill's been brought forward the last several years is an unfunded mandate, and it significantly limits cities' ability to force mobile dwelling units that are not following city code and are creating health and safety risks. And so I think that will come back. In what version, I don't know. Trying to think if there's others. There were a handful of like personnel and HR related bills that I didn't track closely. The Association of Washington Cities is actually a really good resource for that. There were a handful of those that would have cost cities, and those are like a bad penny. They always come back when whether they go to the finish line or not is just dependent on the legislature.
Okay. Thanks, Shelley. I think my last question, and it's not a question, it's more of a comment, is I would like to see our ability to get that thank you and planning done maybe in district with our legislators so that we have another meeting prior to going into session this year.
Shelley, I just want to thank you for your hard work. I think our $1 million award was one of the larger ones, if not the largest one I'm aware of. And unfortunately, and I appreciate your efforts in this, many times we're playing defense as much as we're playing offense to prevent bad bills and things that are unfunded mandates. So I appreciate all the hard work you provided on that front too. So, yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. All right. We have our next presenter is Tony Ives from Kitsap Community Resources, and we partner with Tony for rental assistance in the city of Port Orchard. So I'm certain he's here to talk about that.
I'm here to talk about a lot of things.
All right, Tony.
First of all, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate being here always. I think the last time I was here, we were talking about data after our community needs assessment. So we're doing another needs assessment. We're going to be very active in that this year. And I expect to be back to talk about the data once we finish the study. So really, most of you know who we are. But for those who don't, we've been a community action agency for about 60 years. So we don't do this alone. We work with a network of 30 other community action agencies around Washington State. That includes Centro de la Raza, Metropolitan Development Council out of Tacoma, and Pierce County, many others. So again, the more I appreciate your lobbyists that just left because we also lobby on behalf of our communities. One thing I do want to say is collaboration and leveraging relationships and resources. One thing we try to do always. Here's next. Yeah, there you go. So you know where our office is over here, Jackson and Lund over in Rain Shadow Court, and it's very active these days. Recently, we signed an agreement with Kitsap Mental Health. They're going to move in, rent a couple of spaces, and we're going to be working more closely together, collaborating on projects. We were talking earlier about that. So I'll just briefly discuss some of our initiatives. Housing and community services, of course, is one of our big ones. We serve the needs of families and individuals in Kitsap County who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. We provide those services that can help you prevent eviction, find affordable housing, and we work to help stabilize families in crisis. And that's all done through coordinated entry and the Housing Solutions Center. Of course, that's also energy assistance, weatherization, veterans. I'm going to talk broadly about this and hopefully get to the specific data that deals with the city of Port Orchard. So I'll move quickly. Early learning and family services, we don't really do that here in Port Orchard. Our Head Start team doesn't work here. However, there are 20 Port Orchard families that do use Head Start, and they go to Bremerton or other areas around Kitsap County. I thought I'd note that. Employment and training. Okay, we offer free career placement and training opportunities for adults 18 and over. That includes our BEST program, financial decision-making, and free GED tutoring. Just keep in mind, our BEST program, we do that in Spanish now. It's been pretty successful. Next slide, please. Christmas Angels is probably our largest Christmas Angels ever. We served 900 families and more than 2,300 kids. And that includes Port Orchard. So in general, this is a slide of some of our impact. I did hand out, great, you can take your time and read that because that data is there. But I just wanted to note some key things, that 3,663 families that we served every month for our WIC program. WIC went through some problems in the last budget shutdown. And so I just want to note Virginia Mason really came through for us, and they donated $70,000 so we can keep our WIC program active. We worked very closely with the food banks around Kitsap County, especially the one here, and we were all working together to make sure those families didn't suffer. Next slide, please. So this is specific impact for South Kitsap and Kitsap County and Port Orchard, excuse me. So I know former councilperson Fred Chang, he was a big supporter of the rental assistance program. As a result of that, we moved a navigator here on our Jackson and Lund office. They're here at least 2 or 3 days a week serving Port Orchard and South Kitsap. So through that initiative, we distributed about almost $19,000 to help maintain housing stability. Then another 8 other South Kitsap residents were helped with other funds, which brought the total to about $25,000. I want to note the housing services through coordinated entry again and case management. It supports individuals and families at risk for homelessness. Our current caseload is about 121 individuals and families, and that's as of February last month. That's compared to about 40 individuals from the previous year. So all I have to say is I note that's probably the state of the economy, number one, but it's also more exposure and more outreach here in Port Orchard and in South Kitsap. I really wanted to note this, the Scholarship Entrepreneur and Small Business Growth. So we ran an 8-week business education support and training program. At the end of that, we had a contest, and Commissioner Root was there. And it was funny. No, it was funny. It was cool, right? So I just wanted to mention some of the businesses that won that competition. These are some of them in Port Orchard. And a shout out to these businesses in Port Orchard, okay? Fair Pro Painting, Next Gen Contracting, Crow's Curiosities, Foggy Acres Farm, Reliable Adaptive Dirtwork LLC, and South Sound Constructing LLC. Each of these firms presented a business plan after learning how to do it. There was a competition. Commissioner Root was one of the judges, and that was that. That was great. It was one of the best competitions we've ever had, and we're about to do another one. Yesterday was the Spanish-speaking best competition. It was too bad I wasn't there. I was at the 26th event yesterday. So, but it turned out really great. Financial education, of course, we basically had 105 participants this is in Port Orchard, 105 participants in Port Orchard. 22 students were enrolled in our GED program, and we helped 29 families file their taxes. Of course, this is what we're doing right now. We have a tax service around Kitsap County, and we travel around the county on certain days to help families file their taxes. Weatherization, of course, is always important. We served 14 units. This is in South Kitsap. 31 individuals completed 10 weatherization projects. We usually try to do 4 a month, and they're quite complicated. So I just wanted to note that. And 4 HEAP, which is Heating, Energy, and Assistance Program. In total, we invested about $263,000 into projects. 1,630 families, 30 households were served with our energy assistance program. That's LIHEAP, Low Income Heating and Energy Assistance. And then early learning, like I mentioned before, 20 families from Port Orchard are enrolled in our programs, but not here in Kitsap, out in the South Kitsap. They go to Bremerton and other areas. I wanted to note this last statistic here. 102 families, Port Orchard families are served monthly through our WIC program. It's very important for us. And these aren't unduplicated families. Families come back into the office when they need help, and we try to support that. So one thing I want to say there, here, can you go back to that slide for a second? So you can see Grocery Outlet, there's Greg and Deanne over there, and Rachel Beeson, she's the head of our meals program downstairs. And what I wanted to just mention briefly was we had an issue with getting a grant or a specific support. So about a year and a half ago, Grocery Outlet started donating food to us, food that they couldn't use, our old food, and we turn it into soup or whatever it is, and then send it out in Meals on Wheels. It's a really great program. Well, about a year ago, we ran into an issue, but all the food banks came together. So Kitsap Harvest now picks up food from Grocery Outlet, and they give us what they can. We make the soups and process, package, label, freeze, and deliver it back to the Bremerton Food Line. And they distribute it equally to all of the food banks, including the one here in Port Orchard and Kitsap County in South Kitsap. So that's just emphasizing the collaboration that we have and leveraging the resources and relationships that we have. Even in the hard times, we all come together and try to support each other, not just families, but the nonprofits that we have here in the strong community. So just the next thing, the strategic plan, basically we do that after we do the community needs assessment. We're working with KPHD and Virginia Mason to basically but not create the same wheel twice. Is that the right way to say it? No, whatever.
Recreate the wheel.
There you go. Recreate the So St. Michael's has already rolled out their CNA. We're next, and then KPHD is going to do them at the beginning of the year, but we're going to compile that data together. Remember the last time we received 4,200
responses.
Thank you. And it was great. It basically tracked the census across demographics, across zip codes, and we're trying to recreate that and also share data. So that's been key for Kitsap Transit, for ourselves, for St. Michael's, KPHD. So again, all trying to work together. So the last thing I want to say is we're looking for board members and we need elected officials. So I'm going to reach out to a couple of you guys just to consider if you have the time. There's one person I wanted to note here, my pastor Jesse. He's a pastor at United Methodist Church. So we run the church runs the closet, the closed closet for the high school, which is really great. No questions asked. The counselors know. The kids can come in. They need a tie or something to look nice or just whatever it is. No questions asked. The other thing is the church does also run the emergency shelter. So when it's needed, Pastor Jesse and the team steps up. I want to also just say how strong my team is and how proud I am and how we always try to serve this community. I'm from here. You guys know I graduated in 1980, so we're always here to serve. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Councilmember Rose Pepe?
I just comment, Tony, I learned something new tonight. You've presented here before, and I really appreciate the showing us about the GED, because it's always tough for kids in the community who don't finish school to find an avenue. So I appreciate that, and then learned something new. So
Thank you. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Diener, you have a question?
Yeah, Tony, thank you very much. I'm amazed at the diversity of products that you have for people. The Navigator program that you mentioned is staffed part-time in Port Orchard. I think I used to understand what a Navigator program was. Is it still for people who are under immediate duress?
That's part of it. If I come in or a couple comes in or whatever it is, and there's a housing issue, whether it's eviction related or perhaps it's behind on your rent, or Section 8 even related, we try to steer people in the right direction. What I failed to mention was also the relationship between that and our veterans program, because we also have a veterans manager and a navigator there, and then we try to work together. That's another pool of funding. Thank you. Comes from the county, but we serve, tried to get that demographic for Port Orchard, and I couldn't pull it out as quickly for this meeting. But the next time I come, I'll tell you exactly how many veterans that we support with that program. But yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Morrissey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Ives.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. As a former board member, I have worked, and there's been some great leaders that came, whether it's Larry or Jeff and the folks that have come here. And the former council member Chang still on your board?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. He should be. I see him in the audience tonight. But I'd like to invite any of my peers. I've been on that board. I would highly suggest, if you don't have something to get involved with, there is so much that this organization does for the community of that is our county, right? And whether it's weatherization, Head Start, not Running Start. I always get that wrong. And whether it's energy assistance, whether it's housing, your team is amazing. They oversee everything from WIC to our. I'm not with it tonight. On my morning. AmeriCorps. It varies from one end to the other on the services that you provide. And I think it's a really cool business, and they're always adding more to it. So thank you for what you do on top of it. I'm trying to get some additional folks that come in behind me that
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Board, help you out that way. What are you seeing, or what are some new services that may be coming that we should know about? And what are you struggling with today?
I'll tell you, there's some big things that I didn't mention. And last year, it was an experimental program. We received about $1 million from the Department of Commerce, and it was a community redevelopment money. And we were able to do down payment assistance, $600,000 for 40 families. It's really a powerful, impactful program. That also ran some of the projects in Spanish. It helped develop the Kitsap Asset Building Coalition, just reinvigorated it. And now, Kitsap Bank is one of the key, and Kitsap Credit Union as well. It's probably got about 40 members now, and it's really doing a lot across the community. And again, the more footprint you have, the better. So on Thursday, I'm bringing a friend of mine. He's one of the managing directors for the Department of Commerce, really with the CSBG and community redevelopment projects. He's coming to Kitsap County. He loves Kitsap County. So I always try to take him around, introduce him to people. So people, I just shut up, not say anything, and people just start talking to him about the needs of the community. So that's another thing that we don't really talk about, but we try to bring people and resources here and then leverage that all together. So those are cool things that are happening.
So what Mr. Ives doesn't tell you is that Tony and his team are known for what they do for our underserved communities. And that spans way more than what I think we traditionally know. And what I'm trying to get at is they do housing, they do WIC, they do early learning, they do business education support and training, right? So it varies throughout. It is the most underutilized organization on our entire community. Thank you for what you do. I want to bring more people's attention to it because I don't think, what was your last cohort and best? Was it 20 people?
Yeah, it was.
There are almost 300,000 people that live in our county. There's a lot of people that have ideas for businesses that they could bring to this business, and there's way more than 20 of them. So I just want to highlight some of the great things you guys do. Thank you.
I definitely appreciate you saying that. I can keep talking, but I'm not going to. All right. So I definitely appreciate you guys. I know it's a long night. Okay.
Yeah.
And Tony, I want to thank you for the partnership we have on the rental assistance. Get the rest of that money deployed because we'd like to give you more.
Can we? Okay, that sounds great. I was actually asking my team about that today. So I'll pass on the good news.
Yeah. Yeah. Anthony, that was, wow, very impressive presentation. I didn't even realize exactly how much you guys did. I learned a lot. I think we all did. And it's really inspiring too that you even work with the veterinarians, not the veterinarians. Oh my
That could be that we could though. That would be great.
They're branching
We
out.
could.
Oh yeah, maybe. I'll hear that next year. No, I'm sorry. You know what I meant.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, Anthony.
Councilmember Warden.
Yeah, I just want to thank you for coming out. You're for sure
Thanks for
probably
inviting me.
the most genuine person, that I talk to. So I really appreciate all that you do. The year in review that you show, that's one of the most impacting things that when people come up here and show everyone that they touch, and it's pretty staggering for our community. So I want to thank you. The GED aspect, how do you get that? How do you get that word out?
Well, part of it is our marketing team, and we work very closely with Olympic College, and also with we try to work with the high schools. The event that they have in at the Armory every. So we go there as well. And last week the principal was there. And we talk about what we do, and then they talk about it as well. That's why I show up at the school South Kitsap event. That's where I see you.
Enjoy seeing you there.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. It has grown over the last 2 years. It's everything has changed, and the Department of Commerce sees that change. So hopefully we can take advantage of that. And again, that's why Cecil Daniels is coming, so we can talk about that. My team's going to talk directly about not the successes, but the opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Thank you, Tony.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Tony.
I'll be calling some of you.
All right, we're on to our next public hearing, and it's a public hearing for a petition from Kitsap County to vacate right-of-way. Ms. Wallace, this is you.
Just a moment while I switch slides here, having mouse issues. Hold on just a second.
I gotta recuse myself. Mr. Mayor, we're gonna step out.
Okay. Oh, I'm terrible.
Well-
Sorry, I forgot about you guys. Yeah. To Kitsap County employees that are going to recuse
Mayor,
themselves.
we've also lost a member here for a minute. Can we take a 5-minute break?
I think Brant, sure,
Okay,
maybe 3.
3-minute break. So just use the facilities.
Open house. Is it going dead or what?
Yeah.
Interesting. Pretty sure. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna take one whether or not, because I need to use the facilities.
When did you do that? The reverse when you what Randy's doing, what I did.
I'm
John will reverse.
I don't even think I am, right? I was, am I? Okay. It's not actively engaged. Sometimes it'll sneak itself out. Sometimes it's actively on.
And you think I talk to them?
No, I always talk to him. He says I'm verbose, meaning.
No, you're on your verbose game.
Yeah.
You know, there are other compliments. That's.
No, just. Yeah. Thanking her for my opportunity and say.
He does for it.
Oh.
She can do.
Well,
Whoa.
I remember when I say they're the most underutilized organization. Most people don't even know they.
No.
Well.
Don't know that they do that.
Separates that.
I think a lot of people know.
We got everybody always says that.
I don't know where he's at.
No,
He's
they're,
not in the.
Scott's gotta leave the room. Hey, Scott?
I said, oh, they're both leaving.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you as well.
All right, we're going to resume the meeting. Our next order of business is a public hearing on a petition from Kitsap County to vacate city rights of way. Ms. Wallace, are you ready?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Petitioner Kitsap County has filed a petition to vacate city right-of-ways as the owner of several Kitsap County parcels, and I'm going to describe those to you here in just a moment. The parcels together own combined are more than 2/3 of the abutting property owners as required by RCW 35.79.010 and our Quarter Two Municipal Code, Chapter 12.08.010. So what is being presented to be vacated is 10 different sections. The first section being a portion of an alley off of Taylor Street, which is near Sydney Avenue, identified in section 2. And as soon as I get done reading this, I will provide a map for the visual for the public and members. viewing online as well as the council. That section 2, it has been identified as approximately 2,450 square feet. Section 2, or item 2, which is most of Austin Avenue from Taylor Street to Smith Street, identified in section 8, which is approximately 8,434 square feet. Item number 3 is most of an alley off of Austin Avenue and from Taylor Street and Smith Street, identified as section 6 and 7 with approximately 8,434 square feet. Number 4 is a portion of an alley off of Division Street near Sydney Avenue, identified as section 3 with approximately 3,054 square feet. Item number 5 is most of an alley from Smith.
Cookies are not enabled for this web.
Number 5 is most of an alley from Smith Street to Taylor Street, which is identified for section 9 of approximately 1,540 square feet. Item number 6 is a portion of Sweeney Street off of Sydney Avenue, identified as section 4 with approximately 4,667 square feet. Number 7 is most of an alley from Klein Street to Austin Avenue, which is identified as section 10 with approximately 3,897 square feet. Item number 8 is a portion of an alley off of Sweeney Street and Sydney Avenue, section 5, identified on the map, with approximately 4,667 square feet. And last but not least, number 9, portion of an alley off of Klein Avenue near Taylor Street, identified as section 1 on the map, approximately 1,498 square feet. The rights of way and alleys proposed for this vacation is totaling approximately 38,641 square feet. The petitioners own all adjoining property owner. The petitioner owns all adjoining property, therefore the petitioner owns a majority, more than 2/3 of the adjoining properties, therefore they have met the 2/3 of the abutting property owners as required to move this forward. RCW 35.79.010 and Port Orchard Municipal Code 12.08.010. And Port Orchard Municipal Code 12.08.017 and Port Orchard Code 12.08.050 authorizes the city to obtain an appraisal for the appraised proposed for vacation. Wow. So they did obtain an appraisal for the area proposed for vacation to assist the council in evaluating proposed adequate compensation for the proposed vacations. Compensation can include in lieu of transfer of real property as well as other contributors of monetary value. Following an appraisal, Kitsap County provided a statement of proposed compensation for the areas to be vacated, including the payment of $30,000 to the city, the transfer of Veterans Park, which is approximately 48 acres of real property located within the city limits of Port Orchard, and dedicated public parking on the county campus for special event parking where an event is sponsored or promoted by the city. A copy of the county's proposal to compensate the city is included in tonight's packet for tonight's meeting and can be acted upon until after the public hearing and associated action by the council, if any. On February 24th, 2026, the council adopted resolution number 19-26, setting the public hearing on the petition to vacate the city's right-of-way. On March 3rd, 2026, the city posted the required public notice in conspicuous places near the alley and streets sought to be vacated, and also on March 3rd, 2026, placed a copy of the adopted resolution in the 3 most public places in the city, one being the City Hall Bulletin Board, secondly, Kitsap County Administrative Building Bulletin Board, and third, the Port Orchard Library Bulletin Board. As required, notice was given to the all of the abutting property owners, of which are all mostly majority owned by the petitioner. These actions meet the posting and noticing requirements outlined in RCW 35.79.020 and Port Orchard Municipal Code 12.08.020. As of today, staff did receive one written objection to this vacation and was circulated to the city council and the mayor later this afternoon. And it is the attorneys representing Mr. Lackey. who is one of the adjacent property owners adjacent to the petition, which is 709 Smith Street. So pursuant to our CW 35.79.020 and Port Orchard Municipal Code 12.08.030 subsection 1, the council is prohibited from proceeding with this public hearing if 50% of the abutting property owners file written objection to the proposed vacation with the clerk prior to the time of the hearing. Therefore, since it does not meet the 50% threshold, the council shall proceed with the public hearing. With that, staff recommends that the mayor open the public hearing to take public testimony on the petition to vacate portions of the right of way, as mentioned, and we'll pull up the map.
Okay. She pulls up the map. I will open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to testify on this matter, please step to the microphone and provide your testimony.
All right, good evening. Port Orchard City Council, great to see you. I appreciate the opportunity to just congratulate all the work that's been done up to this point. Let me identify myself. I'm Orrin Root. I'm the chair of Kitsap County Board. I represent District 2 South Kitsap, Port Orchard included. I have a sincere gratitude towards Mayor Patonsu, the City Council, and especially Council Members Morrissey and Tierney. Thank you very much for your time and dedication coming and having a robust conversation and really working through a lot of details that we need to work out and put some past to the past and look forward to the future. Let's think. We work here. If that reside here in the city of Port Orchard. It allows us to first do the phase zero is to create a parking lot. Corner, we just did a big complex video on it on the current status of our courthouse, which in turn is a different phase, but that's why we're doing what we're doing. Demand is currently exceeding existing parking spaces. That will serve the in advance. For residents countywide, as stated. Addressing easements, a lot of property that we look at very extensively. We are addressing that, and in the hold it up here. Sorry, we've addressed it in page 396 that are all honored, and upon approval, this will be in an agreement with the city of Port Orchard and Kitsap County to honor that. This will drive the local economy during the construction process over a period of time, which is a good thing for everybody involved. But most importantly, intensive intergovernmental cooperation.
Thank you for your testimony. Others wishing to address the council or they're testifying in this matter, actually.
Good evening, John Lackey. I own presentation that was read to you. The petitioner does not own the property. There are 4 parcels. Resolution 1926 is confusing because it indicates that some of the property will be partially. They use the word most of and partial. But if you carefully read the description, and this is in the letter I sent to you, they are taking all of that property. They're taking all of Austin, taking all the alleys in between Austin and Sydney. So I don't want to read the whole letter. You should have that. Mayor and council should have that letter. But I do want to read page 2. While the city may have authority to vacate public rights of way, that authority does not extend to the impairment of vested property rights. Under Washington law, a street or alley vacation terminates the public's interest, but it does not eliminate private ownership interests or easement rights without due process and just compensation. Any action by the city to vacate these rights of way in a manner that eliminates or materially interferes with our clients' fee ownership or easement rights would constitute a taking or damaging of private property under Article 1, Section 16 of the Washington Constitution. Washington law expressly protects against property being taken or damaged without just compensation. There's a footnote, which I'll get to. The proposed vacation results in the loss of existing access points or utility connections serving the Lackey property. The city will have effected a taking or damaging as a matter of constitutional law, regardless of how this action is characterized. The city cannot avoid its constitutional obligations by proceeding under the guise of a street vacation or by characterizing the resulting impacts as incidental. Once a taking or damaging has occurred, Washington remedies may include, but are not limited to, fair market value, property interest taken, consequential damages, litigation costs, and statutory remedies. Could the city proceed in a manner that infringes upon his property rights without due process and fair full compensation? Mr. Lackey expressly reserves the right to pursue all available remedies under Washington law. It is our understanding that the Kitsap County Department of Public Works transmitted a purchase offer to Mr. Lackey in correspondence December 8th, 2025. My client is willing to enter into further discussions with Kitsap County or the city in connection with the sale of this property. However, in the absence of a purchase and sale agreement, any infringement on my client's property rights will require full and fair compensation, including the cost of relocating utilities serving his property. Accordingly, we request that the city suspend any action affecting the alley or Austin Avenue until these issues are fully addressed and coordinate with our office to discuss the potential resolution. We look forward to working with the city of Port Orchard in this matter. And the footnote is citation of case law, and I encourage the council to thoroughly read this letter before you take a vote tonight. The first portion of the letter, which I didn't read, is legal description. I have utility access coming from either side that will be impacted. My utilities run east to west to Austin. If Austin is closed or city grants street vacation and gives that to the county, I will lose access to my sewer and water connections. And I look forward to either talking to the city or the county about relocating those utilities. But until that time, I recommend you postpone a decision on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to testify on this matter?
Are we limited to 3 minutes? No. Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Fred Chang. I live at 319 Sydney Avenue. And I have a short statement. I urge the council to apply the street vacation process consistently and uniformly for all city property owners and applicants, individuals like you and me. The process has generally been threefold: applying for a street vacation, getting an appraisal, and then payment. Applicants also have the option to get their own appraisal and then decide whether or not to pay. We've already mentioned the letter of November 13th memorializing the October 24th meeting between council members Trinari Morrissey, the mayor, and the county commissioner. It's on pages 407 and 408 of tonight's agenda. And this mentioned the county's proposed compensation of future Veterans Park transfer and future county parking for use. I believe the proposed compensation is inadequate. These are intangibles with no current dollar value. The parking lot does not yet exist. It does not provide the city with just compensation in terms of cash, which the city can no doubt find uses for. The appraisal is not in tonight's packet as it is a protected document, but once the transfer of property is finalized, it will be a public record. I'm sure the council will want the city residents to know that they received full market value for the property. So please do not bargain with Kitsap County unless you're willing to do so for all others who request a street vacation. And if the county does not want to pay fair market value, they should not receive the property. So in sum, please make sure the city receives full compensation that matches the appraisal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to testify? Is anyone online? Use the raise your hand feature and the clerk will bring you into the meeting. All right, I see no one else approaching the microphone, so I'm going to close the public hearing. We're on to our business items, the first of which is the adoption of an ordinance vacating city rights of way. And based on the letter that we received just today and the testimony we received this evening, I would recommend that we postpone action on this item to our next council meeting until staff has time to research and evaluate the materials that we received today. So if
Second that.
I think we would need a motion, wouldn't we?
We can do it by consensus. We can move it to a date certain if council's
Okay.
comfortable.
I think we'll be prepared at our next council meeting and we would put that business item on that agenda. So it appears we don't need a motion as long as everybody's comfortable with that action to postpone.
Yeah.
Am I seeing heads nod? No? Councilmember? Got a
Am I going to get a chance to comment?
Yep, certainly.
Okay. So I just want to take the opportunity to comment. I am in agreement that we should wait. We were guided that we got some additional information, new information just today that we need to process and find more information about in order for us to make that decision. I'd like to take the time to thank those who came to testify today. I'd also like to just take the opportunity to remind my commissioner here at the county, we have two people not here at the dais. While this is a particular instance where they would probably have to excuse themselves further, I would use this as another example for the county to look at their HR policy because this happens way too often at this dais, and I would like to see that change. Additionally, to former Councilmember Chang, good to see you here again tonight. Hope you feel that the city is getting the best end of this bargain. We worked through that. I would be hard pressed not to find that the value of just the park alone wouldn't remedy the right of way. But I hear what you're saying there. So those comments will be taken into consideration at a future meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Others wishing to provide comment?
Is this information that's going to be provided to us?
Yeah.
It's in your packet.
We got an email.
No, we're going to
It
get
was in the
new
packet.
information.
I thought
The letter was emailed to you today.
Yeah, this afternoon.
no, but I mean, what former council member Chang.
It's in your packet.
It's in the back.
Well, I thought we're going to get information on what the value of the property is.
You have,
get
you've had that information.
Yeah.
That information.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Months.
Yeah, I missed it.
You may.
Mayor, I'd call for the vote.
You may not.
Okay, there is no vote.
Oh, that's
We're
right.
gonna-
It's consensus. I
we're-
apologize.
Take it
Consensus.
next-
We're going to take it up at our
Forward.
next council meeting.
Would you grab them? Thank you.
All right, and we can bring the other folks
If
back.
possible, I'd like that information. I didn't see that.
So Councilmember Denman asked for that information. She may not have been privy to it because she wasn't part of the previous council and that
Hope
happened
you
before
guys-
first of the year. So
Absolutely.
I would like to see that she got that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Maybe just email it out to the entire council, so a refresher for everybody.
Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, I'd like to get that. Yes.
All right, we're on to our remaining business items. Item B is an adoption of a resolution approving purchase of furnishings for downtown beautification project. Mr. Ryan, this is you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. The City Council previously adopted the 2025-2026 biennial budget, which included funding for the downtown beautification project. The project is part of the city's long-term effort to revitalize public spaces and include the installation of new outdoor amenities such as picnic tables and benches. In accordance with the city's procurement policies, any purchase over $35,000 or more requires City Council approval. To procure the needed outdoor furniture, Public Works issued an invitation to bid, publicly advertised in the Kitsap Sun and the Daily Journal of Commerce on March 5th. The deadline for submission was March 19th, and the city received one responsive proposal. After reviewing the bid, staff recommended awarding the purchase of the amount in the amount of $42,244.45 to Smith Metalworks. This purchase includes 7 picnic tables and 5 benches that meet the project's requirement for durability, accessibility, and design. And I believe we have a picture to bring it up and for your consideration.
Maybe we'll bring up a picture. It's thinking. She brings that up. Councilmember,
yeah.
you can make that motion.
I move to approve the resolution providing city council approve the purchase of picnic tables and benches for the downtown beautification project in the amount of $42,244.45.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Fenton, a second by Councilmember Rose Pepe. Have any questions or comments? Councilmember, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't, call me out if I'm in the wrong here, but I think most of the time we see the contract in the packet, and I don't see the contract in here. I just see the, did I miss it? I see the resolution.
I saw who did it. I mean, I read it, the contract. I believe.
Ryan,
There's no contract. It doesn't follow the resolution.
Yeah,
As
so
you know.
under,
I apologize. to the-
under normal precedent, right, that we'd normally see the contract right behind that, and I didn't see that here tonight, so I was just confused on the why, and I hesitate to move on any motion until I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. The contract, my recollection from this packet preparation was that's entirely simply an administrative oversight. This is a standard contract that we have a suite of templates that the city utilizes. So we will utilize something of that nature where the invoice from the vendor would be an attachment. The motion should say in a form acceptable to the city attorney. If it doesn't, we can add that, and then be assured that I will ensure that we utilize that template. To the extent that council is comfortable in providing.
It's our template contract that it will be executed.
Okay. I just, that was not normal procedure. I wanted to double check on that. And then two, we're a small community. I'm pretty familiar with what's going on, so I'm going to vote for it here, but that's something
And actually,
that's an anomaly I wouldn't like to see moving forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this furniture has actually a tremendous value. We were looking at purchasing wrought iron furniture at a cost greater than this wooden furniture. So they're
So additionally, just as a completely side note, aside from my first comments, we've seen the presentation before from Mr. Smith. I got to spend some time with my mother-in-law and her sister over in Seattle on Sunday. This is exactly what we're looking for. This is exactly what they did on their waterfront in Seattle. I'm all for it. I couldn't speak more highly for the design, the layout, what we're doing. I wanted to call out the anomaly in the packet. Thank you.
Councilmember Fenton.
Yeah, when I was reading this, it's like 7 picnic tables and 5 benches. Yeah, I think we're getting a substantial good deal, and it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna look great.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Dedden.
So this is for the design only? I apologize.
No, it's for the.
So it's like installation as well?
There's no installation. That would be public work. It is the manufacture of the 7 picnic tables and 5 benches. And then our public works department will install those.
And is there?
So so it's about approximately, so if there's 7 and 5, that's like, we'll just say 12 pieces. So that runs us about 3,500 each piece
Well,
in theory.
Not 30.
that's not really fair. I mean,
No.
Because I said, okay, so it's 7 picnic and then like 5 benches, right?
We did do comparables. There were several, and our high prices that we received were $75,000. We looked at several different styles. Some of these exceeded $7,000 to $8,000 per picnic table for a public park fixture.
Yeah, we're getting all that.
Right. Go ahead, Commissioner Lund.
No problem.
What's the maintenance obligations?
They will have to do marine verifying. I think once a year, I think I heard. If there's carving, like in Seattle, it'll be sanding. I mean, there's portable
Belt sander,
Yep.
knock it off and then,
Is that square?
Yeah.
So you can always rotate it.
You could always rotate it and flip boards, right? That's common in parks. You flip the bad side.
It's gonna be nice.
And the one,
And
I
what-
believe the ones that Josh is doing there, it's like 6 to 8 feet long.
yeah, they are.
What, do you have a picture of the picnic tables?
Yeah, we had it up
He
there.
just had it up there.
Oh, I
No,
didn't,
yeah. Can you go
I
back?
didn't see it.
Brandy can go backwards or not. And this is what the merchants were asking for on the
Mhm.
front
Okay.
in that plan that we came to you guys with.
So these are the existing concrete pads that are downtown in the overlook. So where those, it's kind of a mismatch of picnic tables that are down there currently. We'll have 2 of these per concrete pad, and then our viewpoint will be our accessible one, the accessible option for all users.
So the new observation deck will have one in the center of it.
Mhm.
Councilmember Rose Pepe?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask Mark, since he's the latest one to know this, when we were looking at cost of items, I believe that the benches that the Rotary Club purchased they were running like 4,000 each, if I remember correctly. So the cost that we're talking about here is not unreasonable and pretty much in line in what we're seeing for equipment. Is that correct?
Well, Jay, it's been a few years since you and I chatted about
Yep.
this, but the most recent memorial bench that we installed on the waterfront ran $5,600. Now that's a wrought iron powder coated bench with a memorial plaque inserted into the back of it, but there's quite a substantial difference in cost here.
Yep. Yeah. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Mark.
Any other questions? All right, be voting on a resolution approving the purchase of furnishings for the downtown beautification project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. We're on to item C, approval of utility relocation agreement number 9 with Hewitt Infrastructure West Company for design and construction of city water utility location, the vicinity and the Gorst vicinity fish barrier removal project. Mr. Ryan, this is you.
Thank you. This item relates to the state's ongoing effort to comply with the federal injunction requiring the removal of state-owned fish blocking culverts. As part of that work, WashDOT is advancing the SR3, SR16, SR166 Gorse Vicinity Fish Barrier Removal Project. You'll see this referred to as the Gorse Fish Removal Project. Contains existing city water utility. This location contains an existing city water utility facilities located within the WashDOT right-of-way. To complete it, the highway and the culvert replacement, those city water facilities must be removed and relocated and reconstructed when they do the bypass to keep SR16 moving. The council previously approved the MOU with WashDOT enabling the city to coordinate the utility relocation with Kiewit Construction. Building on the framework, WashDOT has assigned the certain rights and obligations to its design build contractor, Kiewit Infrastructure West. As a result, Kiewit is the only vendor positioned to perform this relocation work within the the WashDOT right-of-way and on its required project schedule. To carry out the necessary relocation, the city and Kiewit have negotiated utility relocation agreement number 9. This agreement outlines each party's responsibilities for design and reconstruction of the city's buried water main at the site D. Kiewit will complete the engineering and construction while the city will review plans, ensure compliance with the city standards, and perform inspections. All work must meet both the city water system requirements and WashDOT project standards. The agreement sets a design completion date of March 20th, 2026, with construction to follow on a schedule coordinated by WashDOT. The city's cost responsibility is a lump sum payment of $85,000 for design portion and $515,000 for the construction portion. Approval of the utility relocation agreement will allow the city to meet the obligations under the previously approved MOU. And just some further background, this is the emergency intertie for our water system that provides emergency service to our 280 pressure zone. If this goes down, we won't be able to meet the fire flow need in case of an emergency.
Thank you. Councilmember Diener.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to execute utility relocation of agreement number 9 with Kiewit Infrastructure West Company for the relocation of city water facilities associated with the Gorst vicinity fish barrier removal project in the amount of $85,000 for design and $515,000 for construction, for a total authorized amount of $600,000.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Diener, second by Councilmember Trenary. This isn't something we want to do. Unfortunately, our pipe is in their right of way, and we impose this requirement on, the gas company, the phone company, the power company quite frequently when we have a project and we're changing the right of way. So they're required to move their utilities at their expense. So we're on the other end of that type of an agreement at this point. And you're wondering how we're paying for it. We just recently got $3.5 million for the Bay Street project, and we had some dollars in that project that we're clawing back. And that's so you will see a budget amendment, obviously, here soon to move the monies to pay for this contract. So, Councilmember Morrissey.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for trying to address some of my concerns around the budgetary side of this, because this is a project we didn't budget. And so it's going to absolutely need a budget amendment. Director Crackler's online tonight, maybe.
I'm not certain, but
I just might have some questions around that because essentially when I read it in the packet, it sounds like we're looking at two different funds that either overperformed or underperformed. Overperformed in revenue and underperformed in expenses. So it sounds like based off of if we want to make that budget amendment, we can make that happen, right? But that is, I just want to completely verify that that's based off of the fact that we're not using other funds that were budgeted elsewhere.
Yes, and we really don't have any choice in that.
This is going to get back to a future conversation I have planned around contingency budgets for the city. So I just wanted to make sure that I fully understand.
Yes. Other question, Councilmember Trenary?
Yeah, this is, as it's written, it's a 2-year project. I'm just curious and very interested in the type of traffic disruptions that our citizens may expect.
I think it's just like what we're seeing at Blackjack Creek. The reason they're moving our water line is they're building a bypass. And so you'll see, a reduced speed limit likely because it's on the freeway. And then they build the bridge and then they move the traffic back and remove the bypass. Did I get that correct, Mr. Ryan?
That's correct. This is the same series of projects that's affecting Mile Hill. They really pushed hard to try to close Mile Hill. We didn't accept that as opposing that, so that's also going to be a bypass. So there is no anticipated long-term disruptions to our traffic.
So it's nothing on city streets? Just the
No,
freeway?
it's a total free-flowing bypass.
Yeah, all on Highway 16.
Thank you.
Other question? All right. Are you voting on, let me find it here again, on approval of a utility relocation agreement number 9 with Kiewit Infrastructure West for the design and construction of a city water utility location in Gorst vicinity fish barrier removal project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then the resolution passes. All right, we don't have any discussion items. Council committees. Economic Development Tourism, have you met since you have a report? I don't believe so. Utilities, have you guys met? No.
We reported out last time.
Okay, Finance, you met last week. You want anything to report out?
That was last week. I slept since then. Yeah, we discussed the sales tax and REIT revenues, and as we've noticed the last couple of months, revenues are down overall, but we are still with the great financial work that we do in the Finance Committee. We are over budget, 2% over in sales tax revenue and about 19% over in REIT revenues. We did a brief 10,000-foot level view of the treasurer's report, the preliminary treasurer's report. We looked at the city fleet of vehicles for ER&R. City's got right now currently 97 vehicles in the fleet. Police department has 35 vehicles, including the Marine units. Our city vehicles are on a 10-year replacement cycle. Some exceptions are considered mileage, wear and tear, these type of things. We looked at utility policies, which this will be coming back in front of full council for low-income credit program and the water leak credit policy. The low-income credit program, the city feels like there's not enough citizens taking advantage of this. So after verbose discussion, we decided to increase the low income threshold from 125% to 140% of the state recognized poverty level, trying to draw more folks in to take advantage of this program. And we're also making a point of trying to increase the awareness of this program because we've only got currently 24 accounts taking advantage of this. So we're hoping to bring more people and more homes into this program. Our water leak credit policy currently was capped at $100. Well, $100 in today's world doesn't buy much, let alone a plumber to come in, even look and see, give you a cost estimate. So we had some great discussion on this as well. And we've put forward a request to modify that to bring it up to a little more current level of what's accurate. The information that we agreed on is going back to the department, and then it will come back before full council for ratification and approval. Last thing we did, we discussed the modifying the current tent permit fee, which we saw on the consent agenda tonight. Our next meeting is April 21st.
Thank you for your report.
Chair, I might add about the only other thing I'd add to your great report, by the way, we are going to do a wholesale review of ER&R over the coming months. So we got our first look at what's in our fleet, but we're going to be talking about that policy as it moves forward.
Okay. Transportation didn't meet this evening, and land use, did you have a meeting since?
We did. We met last week. We had a robust discussion, and even though I was president of the meeting, I got a re-elected chair. So don't know how that happened. Our meeting consisted talking about we've seen a change to the municipal code for final plat approval. That was something that was discussed at a previous meeting. It will help with the timeliness of plats moving forward, and we'll be out of the picture, and that will be handled by DCD. And that's a good thing. We had a discussion on window display standards for adult retail uses, and we'll be coming back with some more information on that. That was a good discussion. We had a discussion on notice rules for public hearings. We wanted a little bit more information, and as we get a more robust website and our pages, that we're hoping that will improve our basically public hearings going forward and people finding out about them. And then we had a discussion about Givens Park Master Plan, and Dennis talked a little bit about that and the group they're putting together to discuss it. So that was it in a nutshell. Scott or Shara, you have anything else?
I'll just add that the importance of removing council from final plat review is that's at a point where it's got the highest holding cost for a developer. And it could take a long time, and they don't have any control over what the council's business looks like. And so it just, RCW allows it. It just makes good business sense.
Good. Thank you for that update. Only the committee I see, the ad hoc committee, do you have anything to report yet?
We had a meeting Sunday. We're starting to put together some proposals, and we'll bring those back. We're going to meet again in April. And as we have information, what we're going to do is put together some proposals and then bring them back to council to work study, either in May, but probably June. I'll let you know.
All right. Today was a hectic day, so I didn't get to put any thoughts together for a mayor's report. So and it's getting close to 9 o'clock anyway. You didn't want to hear me talk anymore anyway. All right, let's go to the department director.
We're crushed.
Mr. Ryan.
The only update is we are kicking off the Givens Park Master Plan next week. We've got a great group of stakeholders. Person Deadman and Councilperson Warden are going to join us. We have a member from Little League that's confirmed to participate, a member from South Kitsap Peewee. We have somebody from our planning team and then somebody from our operations and maintenance. And we're still looking for somebody from the senior center. So if anybody knows anybody,
Dennis, I gave you,
I didn't get it.
all right.
Okay.
I'll return
Yes,
that. to
but
you.
it's a great group. So we're gonna have 5 stakeholder meetings. I got some great feedback from Council Person Deadman about interactive public engagement. So we're gonna have a public meeting on April 2nd, and the second public meeting will be in June. We're gonna try to record the first one and make it available on a website that Megan with Communications is going to set up for this project. So people will be aware, and then we're also gonna do some sort of survey for the community, so we could poll people that aren't necessarily there. So we're very excited, and stay tuned.
Sounds good.
Respond.
Just real quickly, Councilmember Warden had reached out to me earlier today about some vandalized public notice signs for our public hearing notices and notices of application. If any of you see more of those signs that need to be dealt with, please contact my office and I'll make sure that code enforcement goes out and removes them. There were 5 that we took down today. One of them we have to come back with some tools to get that one down. And then there's another one we were made aware of this evening that will also be put on the list to clean up.
Director Bond, I might have your team just drive down Old Clifton Road all the way to the edge of town. There are ones that have been there for multiple years, as well as ones that are on the ground.
Ms. Archer.
Thank you very much. Very briefly, last week I provided another training through RMSA, AWSD for roles and responsibilities training for elected officials. That is available to you as an RMSA member if you'd like to review that video. I think the training was about an hour, so I can provide a link if you'd like. I believe I've done that training with most everyone, but we addressed some additional questions that RMSA asked that I addressed. So just wanted to flag that training is available for you as an RMSA member.
Chief.
Yeah, I just wanted to express how proud I am of Deputy Chief Brandon. He did graduate last Wednesday from the FBI National Academy. I want to clear up for the members of the public, he's not leaving to go to the FBI. This is an international law enforcement leadership course. So only about 1% of law enforcement on the planet gets to go. And he not only graduated, and he is 2/3 of the way to a master's degree from University of Virginia because of that. But he got in really good shape. He did the Yellow Brick Road, which is a 10K Marine Corps obstacle course. He swam 34 miles and he did the Triple Crown Peak Challenge in the Appalachians, all while taking master's level courses. So just wanted to express that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Chief, I just want to show my appreciation to you. Your presentation at the Rotary Club today really was well done. And I like the plug for Blue Bridge, and hopefully the Rotary Club will help you out with that.
Thank you. Yeah, and that presentation will be coming to council once we finalize our annual report, which should be next couple of weeks.
Chief, I was reading some email earlier today, and I think I read you're going to be part of the Roast and Toast.
I am. We're still finalizing that with Chamber, but yes.
Okay. Hopefully we'll hear more of that once you have some final.
Yes, once Ms. Smith and I kind of finalize some more, but that will be June 6th out at Trophy Lake.
Thank you.
Roast and toast.
A lot of material there.
All right, Ms. Wallace.
The only thing I have is to update who I have for Saturday coffee with council. So full house. So we got Diener, Rosa Pepe, and Mary this month for April. May have already got scheduled out. So if you want to do June, July, and August, let me know and I'll put you down on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Notices will go out Thursday.
Ms. Wallace, I did also have on my notes tonight to touch base with you, the folks who had asked about reopening of LTAC. I don't know if you caught our discussion at a study session last week.
Correct. And it's on my task list to send them an update.
Thank you.
All right, we are to our second citizen comment period. Anyone wishing to address the council, if you're online, use the raise your hand feature. See no one rushing the podium, and I don't see any hands raised. All right, I'm going to close the second citizen comment period. Is anything for the good of the order?
Yeah.
Councilmember Fenton.
On April 4th, I just want to remind everybody that's the first day of the farmer's market to open. Boom.
Anything else for the good of the order? Councilmember Dedman.
I was listening to the first citizens comments group, and I've been really trying to listen and think about what they said. Somebody, I think, mentioned what we as the city council should be doing, that it's not just on, I guess, the mayor. So I was really trying to think about what it is we could possibly do. I think that we have an excellent community development group. And I know because I was also thinking about how for the rezone, we probably did one of the shortest turnarounds from when it was effective to when the notice of application went out. And that shows that we are good at what we do. So people keep talking about where we have problems. And that seems to be specifically the building division. And so with that said, I'm wondering if we as a city council can look at the contracts. So I know that we contract out building inspections. Like maybe we can look at the contracts and see, do these contracts make sense still? Are we getting our bang for the buck? Are they meeting, let's say, our statements of work or something like that? Like, should we be looking at that since that is how we are spending our hard-earned money and our community is telling us that it's not good enough? So that is what I'm going to put forth, is that these are things that we should bring up in a work study, so that we're looking at what we can do as city council.
I second that.
Yeah. Anything else for the good of the order? Councilmember Rose Pepe.
A couple of things. First of all, speaking of good news, if you didn't see the Port Orchard Independent, Mayor's alluded to it, $3.5 million from a federal award for Bay Street reconstruction. So there is good news out there, and it's nice to see that it's getting in the paper and online. Second of all, I've been talking with McCormick Woods the last 2 weeks about being able to have another representative at the HOA, Coffee with the HOA. Eric is gone this Saturday. They're still looking at the possibility of allowing somebody from outside of McCormick Woods to attend, council member to attend. Is there anybody that would like to attend this Saturday between 9 and 11 if we get permission to bring an outside council member? If there is, just.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Okay, I'll get back to you if they grant us permission to have somebody there this time. And we'll see how that goes. And last but not least, if you want to talk to 1,000 to 2,000 South Kitsap and Port Orchard residents, regardless of your political affiliation, there's a rally at London Bethel from noon to 2 on Saturday. And it's a good time to talk to people and find out what's on their mind. You can just walk up and down the lines and they'll talk to you about city business. And it's a good time to do it. So hopefully I'll see you there. Thank you.
Okay. I got one more.
No, Councilmember, go ahead.
I just real quick, congratulations to my Rotary group. This last Saturday was their annual crab feed. The results are still out, but I think the early indicators look as they raised over $100,000. So
yeah, very nice. Councilmember, go ahead.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the last work study meeting. I apologize, I was not able to attend. I had a 4-hour meeting on a very contentious project and I couldn't leave it. So I watched the video, and what I would like each of us to do, each of you to do, is watch the video, particularly about the town hall meeting, and try and place yourself in the perspective of a normal person. Not that you're not normal, but you're a little weird, but
a constituent.
Yeah, a constituent, sure. And then let's talk about it at the next work study. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'd like to hear your feedback.
And I have all you guys' topics, and I'm working on populating. So it's going to be brief bullet points. I'll try to get them out this week. And if you need more than what I'm providing, I know Mark's already reaching out to some department heads. So I'm asked the chief for the traffic data, and I know Noah's getting his financial data. So my goal is to get that out to you this week. So, Councilmember Warden.
Yeah. I too watched the meeting last week, and I encourage all of us to watch it as well. I think we'll definitely all learn from that. The ad hoc meeting that Jay and myself had yesterday, Sunday, sorry. It was actually a really fantastic meeting. We bounced stuff off each other, and I don't know, I think we both learned and shared quite a bit, and it was a really positive meeting, and I look forward to the next one. I think we'll bring back to you guys some good stuff that we can build off of. Two more things. Rotary Cafe was pretty good. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, today I met with Angela Garcia and had a really good meeting with her. It was, I'll be honest, I think it was almost 2 hours long, and it went by really fast. And she has a lot of good energy for what we want to do, willing to work with us. I told her we're willing to work with her for sure. I showed her the photos, and she thinks it could actually look like that. And from a building inspector, that's pretty cool. Certain things that they'll have to have some permits for, and nothing too crazy. But you'll need a right-of-way permit, public siding permit. But things like they'll have to go to LNI if it involves the power to work around that. That'll require LNI. That's out of the city's hands. I discussed the materials that I think would be appropriate, and like hardy plank siding and stonework. And she thinks that's a fantastic idea to go with concrete materials in this, whether it's the best bang for our buck, lasting for a duration of time. She'll want a pre-site meeting, an inspection, but she's going to trust the contractors to determine what repairs are needed. Definitely, she hopes that in the grant we will put the marquee, some topics on that. It can be improved, but not removed. There are some concerns with it, but she thinks that we really need to make sure that we have that in the contract. Same with, no funds from us will be given until her group signs off all the work, which is pretty standard, I would imagine. One thing she mentioned, which kind of surprised me and I was really thankful for, was she asked me if I thought that if any building owners should be eliminated if they currently have code violations. And I didn't quite know how to answer that. And so I asked her opinion, and she says that she doesn't think they should. She thinks that they should still be eligible, and she thinks that that would actually help motivate them to fix whatever violations they might have. Example, one building has some back stairs that have to get fixed or replaced. And she thinks if they were, if they applied, they were awarded, that they'd probably fix those stairs at the same time that they were doing that project. So I thought that was really thoughtful, and that was really encouraging. My question is to you guys, how do we want to discuss it and move forward with trying to build an ordinance?
So Charlie was tasked with that at the last, I think, the last work study.
Okay.
I believe the first meeting in April.
Correct. Yep.
We're planning on bringing that draft ordinance before you guys.
Okay. Do we want to, just for the ordinance then? Okay.
For the ordinance. So.
And then we'll discuss
And then-
possibly the application.
And that'll have an
With
application
some
and
details in there to follow those.
yeah.
That we agree. Yeah.
Well, since you brought it up,
Yes.
I think you bring up a valid point about, code, if they have code violations, should they get money? I think it's a double-edged sword.
I agree.
I think they should be able to apply. They could get an award, but maybe they don't get any funding until they fix the code violations. So kind of gives that would be my initial thought process on that. In other words, you can't have code violations and yet get money for something that you're improving on your frontage.
Yeah, I asked her, her thoughts on how many there are of those,
So-
and there's maybe two.
Yeah, just a,
Yeah,
just my initial thought.
I appreciate it.
Good idea.
So where we're at right now is gonna bring you guys the ordinance, of course, then that'll allow us to open up an application period, whatever you guys deem, 30, 45 days or whatever.
Sure.
And then we'll hopefully get some projects and we'll bring them back for you guys to evaluate and hopefully award. So, Councilmember.
I just was going to add on to what Jay was saying. I think that if it's a life safety issue, that's one thing. But if it's not life safety, then I don't think they should be held back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say too, is that because we all want that look, that unified down there. And if it's not that, maybe they still can get that, but they also have to fix that. But we don't say no to the frontage because that's our whole goal.
In the perfect world, maybe their application solves those problems too. It's part of the project, so won't know till
But we can talk about that on
when we get
study.
the applications. That's right. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order?
That's all I got. Just 2 pages of it.
All right. Then our meeting is adjourned.
You bring a valid point of contrast. So I think that